Chris here, and welcome to my channel. As you can see by my setup, it's time to play Phase 10 Chooses my TBR. So we are back. All of the prompts have been swapped out. Every single one, except for this one, because I had a reward. So we're dealing with a fresh board, and, well, we're just using my wall this time, so that hopefully we won't have all of those ripping and tearing issues. In last month's Phase 10, I completed my phase, so, like I said, fresh start for everything. But we will get to that in a little bit. First, we have a few other things we need to talk through, like readathons and readalongs and buddy reads and stuff like that. So in the month of September, I have decided to do basically all of the readathons. I've taken a couple of months off from readathons, so I thought it would be fun to just do a bunch in September. The information for all of these will be linked in the description below. First, I have a week-long one, which runs from the 15th through the 21st, and this is the latest round of the Final Book Support Group. A TBR will be coming out on my channel at some point after the 1st of September for this particular readathon. I'm very, very excited to be participating once again. It always helps me get through some series and makes me think creatively about the different books on my TBR. The rest of them are month-long, and the first is also focused on series, and that is Series September. There is a bingo board, and this year the bingo board corresponds to cover prompts. So that was very interesting as I was working to build my TBR for that. There will be a separate video for all of my TBRs, I should mention, on my channel at some point. I don't know the exact order as of filming right now as to what is going up when, so keep an eye on my channel, and if they've come out before, I will try to remember to link them in the cards above. Then I'm doing the Readathon Rebellion, which is new this year and has a game board. It looks like a lot of fun, and I feel like from the way Mel talked, it's going to be back, so maybe next year I can do a little more intense version. And then the last readathon I have decided to take part in is Orilium. Now, I'm sure most of you know about Orilium. Even when I wasn't taking part, I was aware of Orilium, but this is the first year where I was like, every year, I feel like I'm missing out when I hear everybody get excited about Orilium and talking about their Orilium TBRs and the excitement and chatter that comes along with that. So I decided I was going to partake this year. Now, this is technically the fall term, so I don't know if I'm going to use this as like a practice run or an actual first step, but I've got a plan for that. So again, keep your eyes out for my TBR for that, and the information for all of those readathons will be linked in the description below. Then, of course, we have Buzz Wordathon. So for this month's prompt, the Buzz Wordathon prompt is an event. And so I'm going to read 4 Eads and a funeral, because Eads and a funeral are both events. I have read books from both of these authors and really enjoyed them, so I'm hoping that their team up will be quite interesting. I believe it's a YA romance. It looks like we're following former friends Saeed and Tiwa, and they've had a falling out of some sort, and it looks like the Islamic Center is going to accidentally catch fire, and the mayor ends up stating that they plan to demolish the center entirely, and it looks like the two of them might have to work together to save the Islamic Center, save Eid, and save their relationship. So it looks like it's going to be quite interesting, and like I said, I've read a couple of books by these authors and really enjoyed them. So I'm feeling really good that their collaboration will be up my alley. Then the Buzz cover prompt is Foliage, and for this I'm going to read Laying Down the Latte. This comes out in like the next couple of days, I think, and this is the most recent book in the Bake Shop Mystery series. I don't even know what book we're on, but I've really enjoyed the series. I like Jules and the Bake Shop, and I'm curious to see what's going on in this one. I believe we're on vacation in this one, so we're not at the Bake Shop, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of mystery Jules ends up stumbling upon. Then for buddy reads, I am still doing my Warriors buddy read in my Discord, the link of which is in the description below. So in September, we will be reading one of the super editions, and if you haven't read Arc 1, there are absolutely spoilers in this book for the first arc, so you definitely shouldn't be reading it if you haven't read the first arc. This has been a bit tricky because I've been trying to figure out how to kind of work on doing this buddy read without spoiling it for anybody who's a little bit behind. So that should be intriguing, because I didn't even know what exact books we were going to be reading in August, but they are also spoilers, and again, they're in the Discord. So if you've read Arc 1 and want to jump in, feel free to join us. August is really easy to catch up on, so it is the perfect time to hop in if you've read Arc 1. I'm really enjoying this buddy read. I'm loving being back in the world of Warriors and getting to re-experience it all over again, especially watching other people's reactions to the story I already know, so that's been a lot of fun. And then the other read-along I'm doing in my Discord is a Cosmere read-along, and for September and October, our pick is Tress of the Emerald Sea. I know nothing about this, except I've heard it's a cozy fantasy, and people were raving about this when it came out, and talking about how it was a cozy fantasy, just as the, like, cozy fantasy genre was kind of really blowing up and taking off. And I love a cozy fantasy, so I was like, I really want to read this. And then I realized it was part of the Cosmere, and I went, I hate reading books in a series, even if they're just a standalone. So I decided to give Mistborn Era 1 a try again and see if I could get through it, and I did. Really enjoyed it. So here we go with the Cosmere Readathon. This is the book that kind of started me deciding to give this whole universe another shot, because I probably wouldn't have picked up any of them if I couldn't get through Mistborn Era 1. So yeah, I know nothing about this other than that it is part of the Cosmere and is billed as a cozy fantasy, and a lot of people seem to like it. And so I have really high hopes for this one. And then the other read-along I'm doing is with Bookstara, and that is yours truly. We're reading this trilogy, and this is our next book. I read the first book, I want to say in July, and enjoyed it. I really like Abby Jimenez's writing so far. I believe this is a companion novel. We're following different characters, but it's set in the same world, so we might see characters from book 1. Actually, I think at least one of these characters is somebody we met in book 1. So very curious to see where this one goes. And this ticks off the Y for my A to Z challenge, so that is also really, really nice. That leads me to my nonfiction pick of the month, and I decided to go with Funny Farm, My Unexpected Life with 600 Rescue Animals. I finally decided to get this year. This is a book I've had my eye on for a while because it looked really interesting, and so I decided to snag it. And since I'm trying to get through my 2025 TBR and read as many of them as I can, because I'm pretty sure this is one goal I'm not going to be able to complete, I figured it made sense to make one of them my nonfiction, and I believe we're following somebody who owns a farm with rescue animals. So I'm very curious to see what Lori's life is like on a rescue farm. Which brings me to this. This terrifies me. So my TBRs are really, really bloated right now. Like, really bloated. Because I'm trying to fit in all of those last minute goals and stuff, and then taking part in all of the readathons. So if this could be kind and only give me either like mangas, graphic novels, picture books, or books already on my TBR, that would be great. So we're going to see what it has in store for me. Because I'm worried I'm going to get like Robin Hobb. And actually, I don't know that I have really many other really big chunky fantasies in here anymore. I think I'm kind of caught up on all of those. Although, watch me eat my words now, because I'm just not thinking of one. Oh, this is perfect. Spy Family. Perfect. I am on volume 14 of Spy Family. This is a manga series that follows a spy who has to go undercover, and his target is really only seen at his son's school, so he creates this like fake family, and what he doesn't know is that the little girl he adopts has the ability to read minds, and the woman he bumps into who agrees to be his wife does so because she's trying to hide the fact that she's an assassin. And hilarity ensues because, of course, the little girl knows all of this, and it is really funny watching her know what is going on with her parents and trying to figure out how to help them accomplish the things they're accomplishing without letting them know that she knows what's going on. I have absolutely loved this series. It was one I had planned to get to in September. So far, the first series out of my jar accomplishes 2 things: a book already on my TBR and a manga. Can we keep up that mojo with option number 2? No. I will be going back to the world of Hercule Poirot. Let me see which book I'm on. So the next book in the Hercule Poirot series is Peril at End House. I should be able to get the audiobook copy. I have requested the physical copy, but it is currently out, the only copy in my library system, which is surprising given it's an Agatha Christie book. So we'll see if I can get that in September. If not, I definitely have access to the audiobook. So either way, I can definitely read this one. And while not a picture book or a manga, it is not Robin Hobb. And it looks to be under 6 hours for an audiobook, so that should be a relatively quick read. Which leaves me with number 3, which is Hollow Earth. I believe I own book 2. Let me go check. I believe I was confusing this with Watch Hollow, which I do believe I own the second book for. And I read the description of this and went, I have vague memories of reading this last year, because it was last year according to Storygraph. But to go on, I would need to reread this. I was like, that's fine. I don't mind rereading it. I gave it a 3.75 star rating, so I obviously enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it enough to put it in my TBR jar. But then I looked and I have no way to get book 2. So I have moved it on my spreadsheet. I have different colors for like the year of the last publication. So I know how new a series is and I move it up as new books come out or if all the books are out. And I also have a color that is designated for series I don't have access to the next book for. So that's where this is going to sit for now. I will see at some point if I can find book 1. I know I didn't keep it, but I have a lot of books I've unhauled just sitting in my house because I had planned to get a little free library. So it's probably here somewhere. So I figure I'll look for it. Maybe I'll reread book 1 at some point and see if it's a series that I think is worth investing in getting books 2 and 3. So that's my plan for now. So this is going to come out of my jar and we're going to draw a different piece of paper because I still need a third series. And we're going with a yellow one. And we have, Evanfall Witches B&B. I think I'm going to need to reread the first one of this one as well. Let me go look. So I learned that at some point I DNF'd this series and decided I didn't want to continue it. There are only 2 books in the series. I only gave the first book 3.5 stars and I would absolutely have to reread it to go on. So I think I'm just going to leave it there and we're going to pick something else. I will say that I sometimes DNF series and when I go through this jar, I don't always remember all of the series I've DNF'd. So that's why it's in there. Oh. This is so good. History Smashers. I was reading one of these and they're quick and easy. Let me go grab it. So History Smashers is a middle grade nonfiction series and I am on Plagues and Pandemics. These look at different topics in history and give you the scoop. And one of the things I really like is it talks about different rumors and things that are said about these different topics and talks about whether it's true or not and based in fact or fiction. Like, for instance, it says, the Black Death of the 14th century wouldn't have been as deadly if people had just shut their windows. Right? Wrong. Despite what people thought at the time, a closed window wouldn't do anything against bubonic plague. The truth is, the plague wasn't caused by breathing in bad air. It was transmitted by infected fleas biting and in the process throwing up into people. No joke. Learn the whole truth about the Black Death, King Cholera, smallpox, COVID-19, and more in the nonfiction series that smashes everything you thought you knew about history. I have really enjoyed reading this series and learning different facts that are not necessarily facts and finding out what's true and what's not. So I'm very, very excited to be picking this up and learning more about plagues and pandemics. Okay, so History Smashers can go back in because I definitely have more. I'm planning on getting to book, I believe that's 6 and then the 7th, which is Underground Railroad. And then I believe I've started to buy them. So I would have 8 and 9 at least. Because I believe one is like Earth Day and one is maybe Ancient Egypt. Ooh. Spy Family. Yeah, I have an extra Spy Family novel on there. I was trying to think because 15 doesn't come out until December. But I have like a companion novel type thing. So I can stick that in there and read that. And then, of course, I have more Hercule Poirot. So this was extremely nice to me. And we can put this up until October. And we'll see how I end up doing there. But so far, we're really, really good. And like I said, I will look into Hollow Earth. We'll be keeping this out and seeing what I want to do with that. Which brings me to this. So, as of right now, I feel confident I'm going to finish my TBR. I am partway through Paris Dalincourt. So I don't see why I wouldn't finish that. I have the next book in the Polar Bear Explorers Club. I don't remember the name of it, but that one will read really fast. I have my Queer Book Club pick, which I'm planning to read this week. I'm planning on sprinting multiple days for the rest of the month, so there's no reason I won't get to that. And then I have Ashes, which is a middle grade historical fiction, which should also be a quick read. The only other thing I have is 4 hours of streaming, and one of the things I plan to do is watch, what what is it called? I just drew a blank. The Thursday Murder Club. I saw that Netflix has an adaptation of this, and it comes out, I believe, on the 28th. So that's why I haven't done my streaming yet, because I wanted to do a chunk of it with that. So we'll start there, and then I will finish up whatever time I have left with something else. I just don't know what yet. So I don't think I'm going to fail my TBR, which means I get a reward, and my reward is going to go on spot. Red 12. Okie dokie. So this comes down, all of that work, just to stick whatever prompt this was back in here. And I will say, I have cleaned out some of the prompts that I wasn't enjoying fulfilling, or I found really, really difficult. Or I reworded a couple, like I switched audiobook and ebook so that they're not on the same piece of paper, they're separate. I did the same with thriller and mystery. I had thriller, mystery, and then cozy mystery, and I almost always choose cozy mysteries for both. This way, it is forcing me to get to a few of the thrillers I do own or am interested in, because I tend to need a nudge to pick them up, even though I do enjoy the occasional thriller. I added in things like my yearly TBR, so that would include like Readathon or my A to Z TBR, my series to continue, like anything I had planned to get to in the current year. And I put it as yearly TBR just so that it didn't matter when I got to it. So even if I get to it next year, it still is applicable. And I did the same thing with like this year's haul, last year's haul, 2 years ago, like hauled 2+ years ago. And then I did hauled 3+ years ago, because that will always include my oldest books on my TBR, because I thought that would be an interesting way to kind of mix up what books I'm going. I pulled out lowest and highest rated. I'm mixing in the 12 in case you wonder what I'm doing. So I just kind of freshened up the prompts. I've not really focused as much on readings now that I've moved to Storygraph, because that's not really their deal. It tends to be a lot harder to figure out what the highest rated and lowest rated book is, and so I got rid of those prompts. And sometimes the highest rated book is a book I can't stand, and a lower rated book clicks with me. It all depends on preference. So I didn't particularly like that one. So there are a few new ones in there and a few that I retired. I do this every time I completely redo the board. I did it last time. I took out prompts that weren't working for me and replaced them. And that brings me to my reward. Oh, we have a yellow. Yes, this right here is yellow. Orange, punishment. We don't need that. We're going to take one of these pink cards. Pieces of paper. Man, this is what I get for filming my TBR game in the middle of the night again. And we'll take that one right there. So that is on the board. And I still have some rewards. I have, at the end of my TBR, I can drop my lowest rated book. That's a little bit different because then I am only looking at a handful of books, and that makes life a little bit easier. I have no punishments next month, which I will continue to hang on to until I need it. I have removed one book from my TBR, which I could use this month because my TBR is really bloated. So if there's something that just really doesn't fit with everything else I'm reading, maybe I will use that one. And then I have Void of Wild, and we'll see what I do with this one. I'm kind of waiting for that one for when, like, I have several wilds and I don't want to have to roll for all of them. And I'm nervous that since my TBR jar was nice to me, that despite being a fresh board, this is going to be mean, because obviously all of the wilds are back in the deck. But first, I need to pull my cards from my face. So phase 1 is 2 sets of 3. I'm going to draw 10 cards, and we'll see what I have to work with. We have a 7, a 12, an 11, a 3, a 2, a 12. Well, that's not going to be good for my reward. A 9, a wild, which does not count over here. It is allowed to be any card I want it to be. A 5, and lastly, a 9. It looks like I'm going for 12s and 9s. Since I have 2 9s and 2 12s, let me get these up on the wall and I will be back with you in just a second. So my face is now up on the board. I don't know whether that wild is going to represent a 9 or 12. It depends on which one I pull first. Hopefully it is all in frame. I can't be 100% certain because this is the first time I'm filming with this particular setup and I don't have the board as a reference. So if not, I will try to fix that next time around when I have a better frame of reference. Because I'm filming on my phone, the screen is away from me, so I can't actually see. So hopefully that's all right, but you know what cards I have, you know what I'm going for. And I believe I've done everything I need to do, which means we can get into draw number 1, which is a red 6. The prompt for Red 6 is Becca's Bookopoly. Well, I will insert a clip here of me playing Becca's Bookopoly and let you know what I got for that. Of all the prompts I could have gotten, that would probably be the one I wanted to get the least, because with the doubles, who knows what I'm going to end up getting. So, I got Becca's Bookopoly, and I decided that since we're going into spooky season, we would play Spookopoly-thon. And I'm using her first board that she made for Bookopoly, and I watched my TBR video, and the spot that I was on is the train station. There is nothing better than revenge the last time I rolled for my Spookopoly-thon TBR. So I think that's where we will start. I may have used this in other Phase 10 TBRs, but I thought the easiest way to go about this was to watch my Spookopoly-thon TBR specifically to see where I left off, and we'll start there. Here are my dice. Let's see what I get. And if I roll doubles, I will have to roll again. And I got a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Community shelf. So I got community shelf, and for this you need to put some prompts together and randomly pick one. So I have done a wheel. I have 4 prompts I wouldn't mind getting: even page number, animal on the cover, poll pick, or LGBTQ plus rep. And for the ones I don't want, I have over 500 pages off planned TBR. So I have a TBR that I plan every month. And this would mean I would need to add a book to it that I'm not already planning on reading, a thriller, which honestly I do not have on my TBR, and my TBR Jar of Doom. So we're going to shuffle these 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll spin and see what I get. And we have poll pick. So the way I decided to do poll pick was to do my usual thing where I put 2 books that were on my TBR and 2 books that weren't, and stick up a poll. I did this on my community tab and just asked for help picking a book and used emojis. I did a turtle for Turtle Moon, a bridge scene for Rough Pages because this takes place in San Francisco, a duck emoji for Lament at Loon Landing because ducks and loons are similar, and a hockey stick for B. Mullen Takes a Shot because that involves hockey. And as you can see by the results of the poll, there was a very obvious winner, and that is Lament at Loon Landing. This is the 6th book in the Secrets and Scrabble series, and this is a cozy mystery series that follows Ellery as he solves various mysteries in this town he is living in and running a local bookshop as well. I really like this series, and I am excited to dive back into it. So while it was not one of the ones that was already on my TBR, I am perfectly happy to continue this series in the month of September. We'll replace that with this and go to draw number 2, which is a green 8. The prompt for green 8 is odd page number. So for this, I'm going to read History Smashers, Plagues, and Pandemics because it ends on page 205, which is an odd page number. I was trying to do that quickly because I realized there was spoilers for the book sort of on that page because pictures and stuff, but 205, so this is definitely an odd page number. And I'm trying to put as many books on my TBR that are already on my TBR, so definitely makes sense to go with one I already had on there. We'll replace that with this. Go for draw number 3, which is a green 11. The prompt for green 11. Sci-fi. So for sci-fi, I'm going to read Emperor of the Universe. This is the 5th, I believe, book. Yes, 5th book in the Claude Evil Alien Warlord Cat series. I adore this series. This was one of my pile of possibilities, I believe, for Phase Out, and I just didn't get to it. So it is one I've been rolling over in the hopes that I would get to it before the end of the year, so this is perfect, and I can't wait to see what Claude gets up to in this one. He is absolutely hilarious. We'll replace that with this. And mix these up because I saw what was on top there, and that is no bueno. I don't want to know what the prompts are. It makes it so that I have too much choice, and when I am struggling, I struggle with choice, which is why I like the TBR game. So it limits my choices, but I don't want to go, oh, well, I have these numbers I could pick from and the prompts, so it helps if I don't know. Anyways, draw number 4 is a green 11. Well, this prompt says you will be reading me this month. People on the cover. So for people on the cover, I'm going to read Here We Go Again by Allison Cochran. This is a queer romance. So it looks like this is going to follow Logan and Rosemary, who were childhood best friends until an incident the summer before high school turned them into bitter rivals. Now they're in their 30s and working as teachers at their alma mater. And it looks like they're kind of stuck in a rut. Their beloved former English teacher tells them he has only a few months to live and they're forced to fulfill his last wish, a cross-country road trip. It says, stuffed into the gayest van west of the Mississippi, the 3 embark on a life-changing summer trip from Washington State to the Grand Canyon, from the Gulf Coast to Maine. That will chart a new future and perhaps lead them back to each other. I have really enjoyed both the books I've read by Allison Cochran, so I have high hopes for this one, and I think it sounds like it's going to be quite fun, and I'm curious to see what kind of places Logan and Rosemary go and how it affects their relationship. We'll replace that with this and go to draw number 5, which is a red 2. The prompt for red 2 is cover similar to the last book you read. So I was nervous there for a second. I thought that the last book I finished was this one. So you have a little girl at a stove in the kitchen with like a sepia tone, and I was like, oh no. I can't picture a book that feels like it has the same vibes off the top of my head. This could take a minute. And then I remembered that while I was waiting for my phone to charge so I could film this and like getting everything set up, I had paused and read one of my Warriors books. And while I can't show you the cover because it will spoil things, and I'm trying to be careful now when talking about Warriors books because I'm doing this Warriors read-along, I realized I needed a book that has cats on the cover. So I'm going to go with Cat and Gamer Volume 8. So the reason I'm saying this is because I'm looking at the cover of my Warriors book, and there is several cats on the cover, and there are 2 cats on the cover of Cat and Gamer, and one of the cats is in like a frame. So it's like a square frame like this with the cat's face in it. And if you look on the cover of Cat and Gamer, you can see that the cats are in a box. So I felt it was kind of the same kind of square thing. And I think this is probably as close as I'm going to get without picking another book that is basically in this series of Warriors books where the covers are very, very similar because there's a certain style to them. So I think this makes the most sense. This is a manga series that follows a woman who ends up adopting a kitten that was found in her parking lot. She has no idea what she is doing with cats, has never had one before, and decides to apply gamer logic because she loves to play video games to taking care of her new kitten. And it's been so much fun. It's really, really cute. And I have so much love for the series and cannot wait to dive into the next book. So I think this works, and hopefully you'll give me a pass for not showing you the cover because I'm trying really hard not to spoil anything. We'll replace that with this and go to draw number 6. Hey, we've stopped the Christmas colors. That's nice. It's a little early for Christmas colors, you know? So the prompt for blue 3 is mythology. So I was a little bit nervous about this one as well. And I went to my computer and I went, oh, I have a book on there. Is that got mythology in it? It might. And as I'm looking it up, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. The next Rick Riordan book is coming out at the end of September. I know I'm going to devour that book when it gets here. It definitely has mythology in it, so I'm going to read The Court of the Dead. This is the second book in the Nico D'Angelo Adventures series in the greater Percy Jackson universe. I am so stoked to be able to dive back in to the series. There is a very good chance I start picking up Percy Jackson again in the near future. I'm ready for a reread of the first 5 books, so expect to see those in future TBRs, and I will probably be buddy reading them with Omi, so if anybody would like to jump in. There are actually already channels in my Discord for this because I've done this before, so if you'd like to join in, let me and Omi know because we would love to have you. But that is definitely on the agenda for either later this year or early next year, so very excited to be diving back into this series with The Court of the Dead and looking forward to seeing what Nico gets up to. We'll replace that with this and go to draw number 7. which is a yellow 8. The prompt for yellow 8 is a readathon / readalong. So for this, I'm going to go with yours truly, since it's part of the Bookstara Readalong. Seems to make a lot of sense, right? Although really, a majority of the books I hope to get to in the month of September are on some readathon TBR, so I really probably could have picked anything. But I thought that would make the most sense. We'll replace that with this and go to draw number 8. Ooh. Now, based on where I was last month, I'm pretty sure that this or the one prompt I had left for a reward was stop TBR, which means we might be done. Which, I mean, I would have rather gotten it up here, but I'm not going to complain because it means no wilds, no extra books. I haven't had to add a thing to my TBR yet. It's all been books I was hoping to get to anyways. So let's see what my reward is for yellow 4. Ahahaha, it is stop TBR. I'm done. Well, we'll replace that with this. So there you have it. That was my TBR. I'm very, very excited. I needed this. I needed this so badly. Now, the question is, you know this because you have watched the first part of the video. Was Becca's Bookopoly nice to me? And I think I'm going to use her Bookopoly board since we're getting into that time of the year. I think earlier in the year I've been using her regular board, but I think this time I'm going to use the Bookopoly board, which is very, very exciting. I am definitely ready for some spooky vibes. We're getting there. So hopefully the Bookopoly board I chose was nice to me. Fingers crossed. I will probably pick up where I left off after that round of Bookopoly because it's going to be hard for me to determine where I was in reference to the game, given that I change up my boards. And I don't want to go through and try to figure out where I pulled Becca's Bookopoly. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go to my TBR video, figure out what square I was on for the last time I played that board for that particular readathon, and then go from there. I mean, you all already know this because you've already seen it. I don't know why I'm telling you all of this. Anywho, that is it for the month of September. This went swimmingly well. I am not going to complain. Thank you once again, Aaron, for recommending this prompt. It is one of my favorites. And yeah, 7 books at least, because again, Becca's Bookopoly, who knows what that's going to throw at me. A pretty easy TBR, if I do say so myself. And like I said, every single one of those books was one I was hoping to get through in September. It did not throw me any curveballs. I don't plan to use any of my rewards, so we can put those away for the month. There you have it. I will see you all for October's TBR. Let me know a book you're hoping to get to in September that you're really excited for. And if you're ready for those like cozy, spooky vibes, or if you're still in your summer reading zone. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me fall-themed emojis because I am starting to get in my cozy fall reading vibes. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!